All right, we are live. This is Dr. Jason Dean, Brave TV. It's a Monday afternoon of complete good insanity because right now 51 million people are watching the brand new social media platform out there that the Mike Lindells and the General Flynn's of the world are causing some patriotic chaos, which is awesome. And I have back a very fun guest who's been on the show. Let's see, I think it was end of last year. Then I was on your show as well, Miss Shemaine Nugent. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. What is since we've done this a couple different times and we have so much fun together? What's new in your life? What's going on?
How much time do we have?
Oh,
No.
good Lord. As much time as you want to take. You always have as much time as you need.
I feel blessed to be in the position that I'm in, and for some strange reason, I have a little bit of a platform, and I want to use it for whatever. Not a strange reason. I should go back and clarify that because of my last name. I have a little bit of a platform and I want to use it for good. I want to use it to get the truth out. I want to use it to talk about health and happiness and faith and freedom.
And really that's what I mean. That is what it's so funny because I remember when I first talked to you and I was like, okay, be careful because I never want to use never want to say it's Shemaine Ted's wife because you've created something that's actually very different than Ted. But the important part is Ted's such a patriot and so are you that you were able to double your influence out there to get to more people because not everyone understands the hunter mentality, but they understand your mentality because I see your Instagram off and on. And like somebody said to me the other day, they said, how old is she? Look at what she's doing with her body. That's amazing. Like you have such a other world of influence out there. Like tell me what it's been like to hit that other, I guess you could say, demographic of people, of women out there who may not meet up to what how Ted talks or how Ted works and how he looks.
Well, first, I got to give your audience a little bit of background on me and why I am here. Really, I got sick and almost died from toxic mold exposure in my home that was once on MTV Cribs. I could have called it a day, could have just moved on with my life, but this situation kept happening to us. We moved into another house, had water leaks, had toxic mold, and I'm like, why, God? Why is this happening? And I did some research. I'm right now writing a book about it, and I'm actually producing a documentary. And in the Bible, Matthew 5:15, it talks about, nobody lights a lamp and puts it under a table. God wants us to be that light. So I guess I had this platform so I can be a light and inspire people. That's my goal. I want to inspire other women because 18 years ago, I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs if my life depended on it. So yeah, now I post some fun videos of me doing yoga poses, dancing around the kitchen and running around and playing with my dogs because I am so grateful. The human body is an amazing thing. And I have had the blessed opportunity to recover. And I want to share that with the world.
Were you always like really active like this before, or I mean, was it because the way when I look at your Instagram, I mean, I would think because I would never have guessed, other than being in position and talking to you about the mold thing, which we've talked about before. We'll go in deeper. Um, I would have never guessed you were sick, never guessed had a problem because the way you move. But how far back does that go? How long have you been involved with that kind of thing from an athletic standpoint?
Well, I've always been active. I used to even race motocross as a
Oh
kid.
wow.
Yeah, I was a state champion swimmer 2 times. I've always been doing things, gymnastics, basketball, track, everything. So and I've been teaching group fitness classes since 1980. So when I got sick and couldn't move, a chore for me was getting up in the morning and having enough energy, for example, to drive my son to school or to go sit in the bleachers and watch his track meet. So when I became an investigative sleuth, I knew that there was something wrong with my body and I wanted to heal myself. And 18 years ago, I was doing functional medicine like infrared sauna, vitamin IV, and oxygen, things that they're doing now and just talking about now.
Wow. So you are way ahead of the game.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great. I've been saying on the show, So we had an old sauna and I had to get a new one. So I was getting ready to get a one installed out in our back deck for an outside one. And I went to buy it and they said, sorry, we can't get that one to you till August. And I was like, August? Why not? And I thought maybe it was a lumber problem or like, inflation, all that stuff. I ended up buying one for the inside for the time being. But I said, why can't you get it till August? And they said, we're actually back ordered. And I go, what do you mean back ordered? They go, no, they're that popular. And I said, wait a second. Infrared sauna is really high on the health kit. Like, you have to know some things to go to sauna. People are waking up to this. Have you noticed that with your brand? You muted. You're muted. Hold on. There you go. Try it now.
Uh,
There you go. That's
okay,
better.
sorry about that. What we've been enduring this past year, especially, is a huge, great awakening. It is a wake up call. We have been asleep. We really have. We have been complacent. We have allowed other people to take care of our health, our politics, and our spirituality and to tell us what to do. And now we're seeing things that just don't make sense. And so we are waking up. And I think that's what I'm trying to do is just help people have eyes to see and ears to hear.
It's beautiful. You're doing an amazing job. I mean,
Thank you.
you must have a lot of women, especially, reaching out to you through Instagram and things like that. Are you getting a lot of stories of people that have been dealing exactly with some of the things you were dealing with and are looking for hope?
You know, it's funny because I was hesitant to put myself out there in my story because I didn't want to be known as the mold lady. That was not when I was a little girl. It's not what I dreamt of being. But when I started speaking out about it, and I just had this nudge from God that I should tell my story, I'm telling you, not a day goes by that I don't hear from people, men and women, who they don't understand why they have some of the symptoms that they've had. And they're looking into the possibility that it's mold related.
That makes a lot of sense. What are some of the things that you've done from that beginning when you got sick until now? Some of the health things, like we talk about sauna. Throw out some of the modalities of therapies that you've tried on your own, because I know a lot of people like to talk or understand what's out there. They hear it from me a lot, but what are the things you've tried, or what are the things you've done to heal yourself?
Name something, I bet I've done it. Like literally, I've done everything: vitamin IVs, infrared sauna, oxygen. I've done something called the Hackett, hyperbaric oxygenated carbonic acid transdermal therapy. I've changed my diet. I don't juice every day. And when I don't have time to juice, I try to drink a good green juice. But I got to tell you, um, once I got healthier, I feel like life is meant to be worth living and enjoying. And I like chocolate chip cookies. I'm just going to say that. So I've pretty much done it everything: acupuncture, acupressure, lymphatic drainage, massage. Did I miss anything?
That's pretty impressive. That's a good list of stuff. It's
And I've
it's a
been
good place for
doing
people
it.
to start.
I've been doing it for almost 20 years. Colonics, just about everything, because here's what happens. Nothing is going to change in your life until you get to the point where you're pushed into a corner. And
Right.
in the movie Dirty Dancing, nobody pushes baby in the corner. When you get to that point, you're going to come out swinging. And that's what it took for me. I had a young son that was sick also. We all got sick. And I mean, it's the worst thing in the world to see your child suffer and to not have any answers. My son was on breathing treatments, he had severe asthma, and I wanted to take care of him. I could barely take care of myself. So I was motivated. I think the most important thing is to have that motivation and inspiration to change.
100%. You were in natural health before it was popular, before it was even on the map.
Yeah, I didn't realize it. I was once named Detroit's most physical female just because I love to work out. But I realized, Jason, one of the most important things that in my recovery was to sweat.
Yep.
That's why I have an infrared sauna. I built a little Zumba studio, I call it, in my new house. And I have an portable infrared heater, and I crank it up so that when I do work out, no matter what I do, and I change it up all the time, I sweat. Then I go into the infrared sauna.
Nice. They found mold. Did you guys ever find, I mean, I'm sure you did, but what was the source? Was it a leak like from rain, or was it from something internal plumbing? Like, what did you find?
Well, we never saw anything. I never saw mold anywhere in the house, in the kitchen, under the sink, never saw a leak. What happened was due to faulty building. The builder literally didn't install the flashing properly. So when it rained between the walls. And we had cedar wood planks over some of our walls, especially in the bedroom, master bedroom. That's where it happened the most. And then my closet was right along that same wall. So all of the same clothes that I put on every single day, I just kept getting sicker and sicker.
You are constantly being bombarded with it. You don't even know it. That's
No,
horrible.
absolutely. And a lot of people say, I just got a message yesterday saying, okay, I got out of my home. How come I'm still sick? And you and I talked about this the last time I was on your show, is that the Lyme spirochete is very similar to the mold mycotoxin, and that it's like deceptive. It's like, a secret army, little invaders that will stay dormant in your organs and tissue until they're exacerbated, like a dead dandelion. You shake that and it spreads everywhere. So you could have a few good months or even years and then have another event, whether emotional or physical trauma, and you get set off again.
Oh, 100%. It's actually interesting. We're in Central Florida and
Mm.
driving around. There are a massive amount of new apartment complexes going up along the highways, and they look pretty on the outside, but we're watching them being built over a period of months. And I looked at my wife, who's also a physician, and they're just being rained on and rained on. Where the
Mm.
when it was with the plywood before the everything was put on the outside, and I said these are going to look beautiful when they're done, but so many people are going to get sick because people they don't realize how much that water is being retained. It's growing mold. A lot of those people are going to end up sick, and then like you in the beginning, maybe didn't know it was there, just knew you felt terrible, and out of nowhere, hopefully they get to somebody that knows what they're doing, but they're going to have mold poisoning.
That's the problem, is that a lot of people don't know how to test for it. A lot of people don't know, sorry to say this, doctors only regurgitate what they have learned. And I don't think medical school teaches them about mold mycotoxins
Nope,
too much.
not at
So
all.
yeah, it's a problem, and that's why I'm writing a book and producing a documentary to get this message out. Because if it could happen to us twice, it could happen to everybody else. And we were diligent. I'm telling you, diligent, and it kept happening to us.
Yes. Now, one of the things I love about your family, and I watch this all the time, is you don't just walk the walk from a movement standpoint. The way you guys eat, obviously, hey, we can all have some fun and have some chocolate chip cookies from time to time, but you guys, a staple of what you do. I've heard Ted talk about it. You talked about it in the show. I mean, obviously, you're a hunting family, but your food, I mean, is really is ancient, organic, earth as much as it can. How much did I know it did, but tell us the part that played in your guys' life.
Well, put it this way, during the pandemic, our lives didn't change. We might have stayed home a little bit more, but we weren't going to starve because we truly do live off the land. I am now growing my own vegetables, and I think that's really important. And we did not run out of toilet paper, but we went out and bought toilet paper. But you know what? I think more people are waking up to the concept that, we've got to take care of ourselves, and more people are returning to, living off the land and being able to hunt with a bow and arrow. It does feel kind of tribal, and it does feel like, it's getting back to our roots. And I had this conversation with a friend of mine who's a vegan, and they weren't saying anything negative about us, but just said this. They said, "Does it bother you that you have, animal heads on the wall looking at you?" And I said, number one, they're not alive. They're not looking at me. Number two, I feel like it's a form of reverence. When I killed a zebra in Africa with a bow and arrow, and I was able to feed the entire community where we were in Hoedspruit, South Africa. And I remember saying at that time, like, I'm going to carry this memory with me forever. And I said to this person, do you ever have that thought about the cabbage or the lettuce that you eat? Probably not.
No, but it's so true. And you bring up a good point that I mean, I've looked at before, but I didn't think about it until you brought it up is, you Ted, there's pictures out there of other great Americans out there who are standing in front of a trophy hunt. I know Donald Trump Jr. has taken a lot of hell for it. I don't know if Eric was involved or not, but this whole idea that you're going out to kill something just for the fun of it, which is completely
There's
not true whatsoever. Not only are you're honoring the animal, but the local tribe or local groups actually eat from that, and it provides monetary balance for their system. Correct?
Oh, I have seen firsthand. And for those people who want to question that, I've been in the hunting industry now for 32 years. I wasn't born and raised a hunter, but when I married Ted, I learned about it. And we've gone to Africa many, 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 many times. There's no anti-hunting over there because it feeds the community. And when hunters are exalted, they're grateful for a quick, humane kill. Really, that's the gist of it. And grateful that we can provide our families with sustenance. We also have a program called Hunters for the Hungry, where we provide tons and tons of pure, lean venison for this nation and for our veterans overseas.
You must have the best dinner table ever.
Well, it doesn't suck. I'm an okay cook. I'm all right.
Are you both equal cooks? Who's the better one? Is there a better one?
Well, it just depends. I usually end up cooking every night. Ted's a great cook as well. I think we've gotten into that habit of where I just cook, and I don't mind it. I love being able to provide my family with sustenance. And you mentioned earlier that it's clean and not fed up with chemicals and steroids. And when I got sick, that was one of the biggest things. I was at the Environmental Health Center in Dallas, and I was there for a month. And people found out that I was a bow hunter. And literally, it was like I was a drug dealer. They said,
Wow.
"Oh, can you get us some venison?" Because they knew that it was pure and lean, and it would provide them with the healing protein that they needed.
Now you're a bow hunter, so I've
Yeah.
I've never bow hunted. I've
Have
I've
you hunted?
actually
Gun
hunted with
hunted?
a gun. Bow hunters seem addicted, not in a bad way. Once you go bow, like there's no going back. Is that true?
Yeah, I kind of learned backwards. I learned archery first, and I really never had the desire to gun hunt because for me, I have to be within 15 yards of the animal. So the excitement, it's like doing aerobics sitting in a tree stand. You don't get that when you go buy meat from the store.
Right.
So for me, it takes away the precious enjoyment that I get from being able to harvest that animal. And I only say that with the greatest reverence. And I've had people say, "Well, how do you like killing things?" We couldn't live on this earth without killing things. If you think about it, the home where you're at, the highways where you drive your car, the golf courses, the ski resorts, all used to be wildlife habitat. Let's say you're vegan. Okay, when you go buy your vegetables, you're actually paying a farmer to decimate millions of grounds of millions of acres of wildlife habitat so you can have lettuce. And there's nothing, I don't really care if my son's a vegan. I don't care what you do. But for us, this works for us. And if people want to ask about it and have an intelligent conversation, we're all for it.
Now your son's a vegan. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Is he a vegan from a standpoint of he actually like what he wants to from a nutritional standpoint, or is it like an ethical type thing for him?
Well, at first it was nutritional. He had horrible digestive problems. And then he ended up going to becoming a vegan, and it just worked for him.
Hmm.
But now I think he was living in LA for 10 years. And I think he understands it. He understands both sides, the need for hunting. We have an enclosure, and we have a high fence around our property, which means the animals every year, each doe has 2 to 4 fawns where they keep reproducing. It's Mother Nature. So if they're in an enclosure, or if you have golf courses or shopping centers, that's basically an enclosure. And you're saying to Mother Nature, I don't want the deer in my backyard or on my golf course. I'll let somebody else come around, sharpshooters, and kill them and dispose of the carcass, where we are just more honest about how we get our sustenance.
No, it makes total sense. Are you both still in Texas and Michigan?
Yes,
You
mostly
are.
Texas. Yeah.
Mostly
And
Texas.
my scratchy throat, I mean, it is cedar heaven where we're at. There's just like a yellow coating of pollen
Oh
around
yeah.
everything here.
It's
So I
it's
apologize for
everywhere.
my scratchy throat.
It's everywhere. Now, I know Texas. Now, I don't know. I know Michigan a little bit only because I have some moderators on my site now who are from Michigan and things like that. I also have a lot of friends in Texas. When it comes to like co-ops and people going back to, you know, good regenerative farms, the ones who don't hunt but still want good meats, is Michigan or Texas like who's ahead in that world? Like, 'cause in Florida right now, we are taking off with co-ops. Like the local markets are exploding.
I think Texas is a little bit ahead of the game. I haven't explored that in Michigan too much, but I would recommend for everybody to shop their local farmers market. Every Saturday, we try and go out there whenever we're in town and try to support our local farmers because I think that's so important.
Absolutely. How do you fix Michigan, Shemaine?
Oh, we got to get new government in there. That's the problem. And you know what, again, I think people are waking up to the fact that it starts at the local level. I have a lot of friends who are getting into local politics, running for school board, running for county commissioner. If you don't like something, guess who needs to change it? You do.
I actually heard that part of today with you and Ted with General Flynn, and I remember him. I heard him ranting on if you want it changed, you need to get in there and fix it. Whether it's like the
Yes.
local dog catcher or your local like school governance, like you have to. Is that? Do you feel like that's happening in Michigan, like kind of behind the scenes, or no?
I do feel like there is a huge number of people who have had enough. My whole family's in Michigan, and I have a lot of friends still there. And I think that they are, a lot of people have taken the back seat. And like I said, we were asleep. We were just hoping and praying, I'm not going to vote. My vote doesn't matter. But look what that got us. Look at what's happened now. And you're darn right. I think we all need to step up, as General Flynn said, whether it's running for your local dog catcher or school board or whatever. We cannot continue to let this happen. We've allowed this to happen.
It is. I mean, even us out there who are preaching about this day in and day out, like, I mean, I'm not necessarily old enough to be back for like the boomer generation that was part of Social Security, but I'm even responsible as well. I'm young, but at the same time, I went through college blind. I mean, I was kind of like the war hawk conservative mindset. I grew up in red, but I didn't know that like the red and blue were basically the same exact party. So I was just as responsible as well. And this is literally our time, everyone's time, to put our hands back on the wheel and say, okay, what can I do to change this? Because that's really how the awakening happens. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And the corruption is on both sides. It's there, it's everywhere. And we do need more people to get in on the local level. And when you see something, say something. Here in Texas, they lifted the mask mandate. And I was just at the grocery store getting some juice. And I was the only one in there not wearing a mask. It just blows my mind.
The brainwashing is so deep, and it was actually really hard from a physician standpoint this past year, not because of so much. I mean, we were awake, we knew what was going on. It was so hard to watch certain physicians on mainstream television that not only weren't telling the truth, but they changed their mind every other day. And literally, the people watching it didn't even see that they were changing their mind. They were watching them change their mind, and it still didn't wake them up.
It's in the Bible it talks about those who have eyes can see, and I think that's what we need to pray for. Unfortunately, we still have a lot of people watching the alphabet soup networks right now, and they believe what they see. And I don't think that they're going to be doing any other investigation. And the problem is, a lot of us have been suppressed. You have, I have, Ted has, General Flynn, Mike Lindell. We know that they don't like what we have to say. And we need to keep saying it. And I'm so glad that you're out there and you invited me. I'm honored and grateful. And there's people like Mike Lindell who are putting themselves and their businesses on the line so that we can be free.
So how exciting was it to be on with General Flynn?
Well, I told you when we were talking before that we were early. I knew Ted was going to be on at 10:30, and I always stand by to help him in case he has any technical problems. And it was like 10:25-ish, and he goes, "I'm going to go to the bathroom. Can you jump on for me?" And so the Skype call comes in, and I answered it. And I didn't see anything. I just heard Mike Lindell talking. And I didn't realize I was going to be on as well. But man, I ran with it. And then when I heard Michael Flynn was on, just one of the highlights of my life. I can tell you that.
So I don't know. Did you see what CNN did?
No.
So they
Well,
they
which
bought
time? Which time?
they bought so back I think it's back in March. We didn't. No one knew this till today. They bought the domain Frank with an S speech. So Frank's speech instead of Frank's speech, they bought Frank's speech so that when people accidentally or somebody mistyped it in, they're so in fear of losing the narrative that they basically tried to steal and whatever. I mean, I get it, but they tried to steal the platform today because 51 million people
Yeah.
plus are tuning in to truth.
Well, like I said to General Flynn, there is an army of us digital soldiers. And, I got to say, and I think I said this when I was first on your show last year, I feel like an unlikely messenger. I teach Zumba fitness classes. I've written a few books, yes, and I'm going to write some more, but I am becoming more bold and brave. And I'm going to use this platform that I have to speak out. And you know what? Every day, you got to continue to do that. And everybody who's watching this has to voice their opinion, but they also have to be armed with the facts. So when somebody questions you about the vaccine, ask them back. Why do you feel compelled to take a vaccine that's not approved by the FDA?
Yeah, 100%.
If there's nothing wrong with your car, why do you want to, put some oil in your car? You've probably seen the meme that's going to destroy your car.
Preach to the choir. Preach, Jermaine.
I mean, if I'll take the vaccine, if I can come after you if something happens to me, but no, I won't take the vaccine.
No, but you're right though, because there's no defense for it because there if something was to happen to you, and there are people out there who are both struggling with side effects, and there are actual deaths happening out there, which happens with every single one of them, and yet these folks, as well as their families, have zero repercussions unless they absolutely fight. And that, I mean, it's one of the problems. But I mean, go and watch Sherry Tenpenny's speech today because she blows the whole thing wide open. Now, when it comes to censorship, with you and Ted both obviously being very, very public figures in the conservative movement, did you guys experience any pushback? I mean, it's pretty well known, even though you're very much in the natural health route and he's hunting, your conservative mindsets. Did you guys receive any backlash during this past year over everything?
Well, you know what, Jason? We've received some pretty serious death threats that we have on file with the FBI. So not only did we receive a lot of censorship, I used to have a show that I was doing from a studio in Dallas. I got all dressed up and I interviewed people and it was great and I loved it. And my numbers went from like 50,000 views to 1,000 to 500. And on YouTube, I went from having thousands of views to 40. So they are scared to death of us. And we just got to hang in there. Unfortunately, we have been. We thought last year, we were going to flatten the curve and we were going to make it through last year and 2021 would be great. But truth be told, it's probably going to get even uglier. And we have got to be strong. We have got to take care of ourselves. We got to rely. There's one person that you can rely on, and that's you for your health and for your wellness. Nobody wants to go to the doctor right now. So we've got to take care of ourselves. Stop smoking, stop drinking too much, eat more vegetables, eat whole foods as much as you can. And I always say, find the thing that makes your heart sing. I think our goal in life, our purpose in life, is to find the thing that brings us joy and then to share it with others. That's why I post things about health and happiness, because it makes me happy. And I hope and I pray that contagion, that inspiration can wear off on some other people.
100%. So tell me about your books. You have more books. I need to know about these books. Everyone needs to know about these books, Shemaine. Promote them.
Well, I wrote a book called 4 Minutes to Happy. It's about little things that you can do in the pockets of your time. A lot of people have said, oh, I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to eat good. Well, in the book, I talk about little things that you can do in just 4 minutes a day that will change your life. For example, have you ever done 4 minutes of squats?
That'll kick your
Four
butt.
minutes of push-ups, just solid 4 minutes. Let's go. It starts with that. We're done making excuses, Jason. It's on us. No matter what age you are, it's never too late to start, to turn over that leaf and to start putting your health first, because God needs you. God needs more digital soldiers, more warriors to get this good word out.
I agree 100%. Absolutely. So movement, that's probably been the biggest thing. And I'll be honest with you, uh, worse than any pandemic pathogen in the past year, worse was people sitting in their homes, not getting movement, their minds wearing down, mental health issues, depression, suicide, etc. Movement. Not every doctor talks about movement. Now, your standpoint from a movement, like what do you like to do? What kind of things like that, all that little stuff. You're always moving. Like
I'm always
give us
moving, and
some
that's
good
the most
movement stuff, because that, even if people have to be in their houses right now, what can they do?
anything. Find the thing that makes your heart sing and you'll do it more often. So what I mean by that, if you're a runner, run, mix it up. Our bodies were designed to have the principle of adaptation. If you ever started running and maybe you lost 10 pounds and then you reached that plateau, it's because we have this amazing design that we will adapt to that physiological stress. So mix it up. Do some stretching every day. You should do some stretching. I like to dance. I have been a Zumba fitness instructor, but I also lift weights, and I think that's really important too. I swim when it gets warmer. I run and play with my dogs. I jump on the trampoline with my grandkids. You want me to keep going on?
I don't believe you have grandkids. You look like you're 35 years old still.
Well, it's they're step grandkids, but I am old enough to be there. I'm 58. I'll be 59 this year.
You do not look like that at all. That's
Well, thank you very
amazing.
much.
You have a lot of land to walk on, don't you?
I do. We do. And I think that's really, I'm blessed. You know what? I used to be a city girl, truth be told. And when I met Ted, we moved into the country and I wasn't so sure about all this. Are you old enough to remember Green Acres?
Oh yeah.
Okay. With, it wasn't, I don't think it was Zsa Zsa Gabor, Ava
Yeah,
Gabor. I don't know. One of the Gabor
didn't
sisters.
Jaja have a sister or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I felt like Green Acres. I felt like, here I am out in the middle of nowhere. But when I started getting migraines, that was a thing that brought me closer to nature. Back, 25 years ago, I was on a tour, not like Ted is on tour for rock and roll tour. I was on a tour of doctors to try and find a cure for my migraine. I went to every doctor imaginable, including an iridologist.
Oh wow. Yep.
And one doctor told me, maybe you're too healthy. Maybe you should go eat McDonald's and stop working out. I kid you not. And then another Dr. Ty in Hanover, Michigan. And then another doctor had told me, back when we had audio cassette tapes, he gave me like a dozen audio cassettes and he said, listen to these nature sounds on audio cassette and close the door, turn off the light, and just relax. And I thought, why don't I just go out in the tree stand and sit out there and watch the sunset and watch a squirrel jump from treetop to treetop and breathe that fresh air and have that good vitamin D sun on my face. We have gotten so far away and we believed all the nonsense, all the programming, including drink milk. It does the body good until it doesn't. Everything fat free. It's not fat free if it's a Twinkie. You know what I mean? Right?
Yep.
The fat-free movement, I think, got us fatter. And now we've had a pandemic of obesity in not only ourselves, but in our poor children. And we need to change that. Years ago, I was a private trainer, and this girl came into my studio, and she was doing all the workouts with me and also getting private instruction. And it wasn't my job as a fitness instructor to give her nutritional advice. But I finally, after months of her not losing any weight, I finally said, let's talk about your diet. What are you eating? What's your fruit serving for the day? I'm not kidding you. She said, well, I have an apple pie at McDonald's. She really think the apple pie turnovers at McDonald's was her fruit serving for the day. We got to wake up, America and the world. We got to wake up and start taking care of ourselves. If something doesn't look right or sound right to you, and become a label reader. It takes me forever to grocery shop because I'm always reading the labels. And if it says natural flavors, that's one place where they slip in chemicals and dyes and monosodium glutamate that causes headaches that people really don't know about.
You don't realize you're smarter than 90% of the doctors or more out there.
Wow. Can
Oh,
I have that on tape?
you have no idea what it's.
Wouldn't it be great if a doctor would take his little prescription pad and he would write on it. Well, first I have to say this. This is what came to my mind. When I first got sick and I went to all these doctors and I got to the point where I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, we went to a toxicologist and I had blood work done. Found out I had 4 different types of mold in my bloodstream, and I was also diagnosed with pre-emphysema at the time. This doctor pulls out his little pad, and I'm like, great, here's another prescription drug. And I got to tell you, at the time, I was taking migraine medication and everything I could take for my migraines like they were M&Ms. And one of the number one side effects was death. That's why I'm speaking out about this. And this doctor pulls out his prescription pad and he writes, and I'm like, oh, great, another prescription. He wrote, get out of the house. And we did.
Wow.
But what if we had doctors today that would write, get sunshine, move your body, stop smoking, drink your greens. It's common sense. And we've got to stop relying on doctors, no offense to you, but start relying on ourselves. We're smart people. We know that an apple turnover from McDonald's isn't really our fruit serving for the day.
Well, we have to, I love the word capitalism has become, we don't really live in capitalism, even though there's a money system. We kind of live in fascism already, quite honestly. Like,
Yeah.
free market capitalism is not what we're living in right now, because honestly, obviously physicians, natural health practitioners, medical doctors, etc., they have to live, so obviously they have to have money. But right now, the higher the profit goes, the sicker the population gets, when in reality it needs to be reversed somehow, so that the more revenue there is, the healthier the population gets, because that's really how it should work. I mean, people are going broke on medical bills. They're going bankrupt on medical bills. People are spending $10,000 a year on insurance premiums, and they're being taught to buy all the box cereals and everything in the grocery store. Imagine if your food, and this is a radical thought. Imagine if things like food were tax deductible if you bought quality food. And I don't want to go down a socialistic route. I'm sure there's a way of doing this while still keeping free market and the republic, but something there has to change. Do you agree?
I absolutely agree. And I wish insurance companies would step up and give you a rebate, give you a credit if you go to the gym, if you've got a gym membership, if you buy fruits, not, giving out food stamps to people to buy cigarettes and smoke. Now I know not everybody does that, but I think we need to be independent thinkers. We need to be free thinkers, and we need to start relying on ourselves. And I do believe, a friend of mine just sent me some essential oils, and I've been taking essential oils and using things that are all natural. If you can pick it off of a tree, if you can dig it up from the ground, or you can get it from the hoof, the closer you can get to nature, the better. If it's in a box on a shelf for months or even years, is that good sustenance for your body, your sacred temple?
Not at all. No, you're totally right. And I hope someday that the insurance companies that the paradigm can be shifted for them, so that they actually
But
care
the
about health care and not actual sick care. Now,
But the
I was
problem is
stum
they won't.
no,
They won't because
right.
you got to follow the dollar,
Yes.
and we've got to speak up, and we've got to become healthy on our own and stop buying into that. And I hope somebody comes out with an insurance program that rewards you for exercise and juicing and things like that.
100%. You have, just like you have to run for an office to change your local politics. You have to change your local economy with your dollars. No matter what monetary system we go to, that's what you have to do, because that's the only way that changes. Now, you guys educate a lot, and I stumbled across, you guys have lots of hunting trips that I looked at. You guys do a really good job, because I'm assuming you do this while you're on your trips and everything else. You're educating a lot of people about hunting, land conservation, healthcare. I'm sure all of it. That must have changed your whole world to know that you're literally shifting the paradigm for people out there.
Well, I wasn't raised in a hunting family, nor in a rock and roll family. That's a whole nother topic. So it was all a baptism by fire for me, but it really made sense. Live off the land. Don't rely on big pharma or government to take care of you. Take care of yourself. And honestly, I've learned so much from Ted. He's always been outspoken. He's always been suppressed. It's the number one reason why he's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He doesn't do drugs. So he
Yep.
doesn't buy, and he's a gun owner, and he's a proponent of our Second Amendment, and they don't like that.
It's actually interesting because I do think that is one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons. I mean, Trump was hated is because he actually has a clean family. Like, how many rock and roll stars out there, other than Ted Nugent and you as in the family, don't play with drugs? You're not, you don't show up for commercials with alcohol in your hand, etc. I mean, it's ethics, and they hate the republic so much that
Well,
they
they,
turn
they
down people who are clean.
remember this: anger covers guilt. They're angry at Trump because he was right on, and they hated that, and they want to suppress him, and they did, and they want to suppress anybody else who speaks out about him. I mean, look, if I don't need to tell you this or any of your viewers, but if, let's just say, Hunter Biden's laptop was actually Don Jr.'s laptop,
Oh,
we'd still be talking about it. Why aren't those images all over mainstream media?
Hunter only sold 11,000 books. So wait, the biggest vote, the biggest amount of votes in history, and his son can only sell 11,000 books. Something's wrong there.
Come on. We don't need to be rocket scientists
You've
if it
sold more
looks
than
like a duck.
11,000 books. You're more popular than the first son.
I think people are catching on to this unbelievable. I don't know how much I can get away with saying here.
I
I
know, I
think you
don't either.
said pretty much anything, but I don't want to dig the hole for you anymore. But I think people are waking up to what's really going on, and it's just a shame. But thank you for so much for speaking out and for doing what you're doing. God bless you. We need more people like you.
Oh well, hey, I'm just kind of following the leader and using my voice with what I know as the truth in healthcare and finance and things like that. I think you, for it's actually harder for you and Ted, because I'm not a quote unquote public image. You guys have been in the limelight for a long period of time. Like, you guys have a lot more on the line technically. I appreciate folks like you who are willing to do it, like the Lindells of the world, because
Yeah.
without that, I mean, they can silence us pretty fast. There's a small group of people with good amount of followers, but the people at the top who actually make a difference in this world, who put out music, who put out books like you, um, you're leading the way. I appreciate that.
Well, Ted has a lot of peers who won't speak out. They are hunters, they are gun owners, and they won't because they don't want to jeopardize their almighty paycheck. And Ted has always done that. He's always spoken out about it, to the point where his management had to say, you got to cut back. You got to stop talking about Second Amendment. He said, I won't. I'm not going to do it. And he never has, and he never will. And so I've learned a lot about that. And for a while, I didn't post anything about hunting. I do on very rare occasions, maybe a couple times a year, but because I got so much backlash. And also when I went to the White House and had dinner with the president, I posted, Sarah Palin and I posted some selfies from the Oval Office and having dinner with Kid Rock and his fiance Audrey and Governor Sarah Palin and Ted and with President Trump. I mean, who wouldn't want to post that? Whoever's president. And I got so much hate mail and so many death threats. And you know what? That was 2017 when that happened. And it took me a little while to recover from that. And you know what? Now I feel like I said, anger covers guilt. They think they've hit a nerve with us. But now that we have Mike Lindell speaking out, we have General Flynn, we have Ted, we have you, we have so many people, so many digital soldiers who are ready to jump on the bandwagon. This is great. You know what? It's a great awakening. It's a great time to be alive. God created us for this moment right now, and we need to stand and put on his armor.
Absolutely. I still love the picture that you posted one time with you and Ted and JFK Jr. and Carolyn.
I mean, yeah. I just got fun? I just got full body goosebumps. Like seriously, like
wouldn't that be a blast?
Yeah.
We'll hope. How about that?
Pardon me?
What can you say to the Patriots before we finish off today? What is your message from the Nugent family, from Shemaine, on what they can do and give them some hope, because it's been a crazy year and it's not going to be finished tomorrow. Our life is going to be work from here forward to rebuild a republic and restore it. What can you do to give them hope?
Well, I would say, fellow patriots, I, like you, am an unlikely messenger. I was fearful of standing up and speaking out and becoming bold and brave. God did not create us to be fearful. God created us to be bold and brave. And when we see something that's wrong, we must stand up and fight for what's right. We need to fight for God. We need to fight for our children. We need to fight for our country. So don't give up. Never, ever get up. Put on the full armor of God and put one foot in front of the other and move forward. And let's do this together. Don't give up.
Shemaine Nugent, it's always a pleasure to have you on. I appreciate you a ton.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. I'll be in touch. We'll do this again many more times on the Frank Speech platform, where we can say even more what we want to. But thank you very much. Thank you to your whole family for what you do.
Thank you. God bless you.
You as well. Dr. Jason Dean, Brave TV with Shemaine Nugent. You guys have an amazing Monday. This will be on all platforms, including Frank's Speech when they go live. Let's spread this out and let's literally wake up not only America, but the entire planet. Have an amazing day. Be well as always. Take care.